So Apple just released the new AirPods Max 2, and I'll be honest with you guys, this is one of those products where at first glance, you might be thinking, wait, what actually changed? Because on the outside, these look almost identical, same price, same design, same slightly questionable case, but there are some changes here, and more importantly, there's a very specific type of user these are actually for. So let's unbox them really quick, take a closer look, talk a bit about those new features, and figure out whether these make any sense in 2026. Let's ramble.
Hold up, face go wild when I pull up. They all on me like they want some.
Alright, so I went for the light blue ones because I have my light blue M4 MacBook Air. I really like that one, so I thought I'd give it a go on the APM2s as well. So yeah, without further ado, let's unbox these bad boys. Alright. Okay. So inside the box, very familiar story. You get your documentation, quick start guide, warranty, all that stuff that we love to ignore. And of course, we have our USB-C to USB-C cable. No more Lightning since Apple already ditched the Lightning cable on the previous latest generation, I guess, of the AirPods Max, which I called the AirPods Max 2 at the time. I had to actually go back and change my video title. All very, very confusing. Anyway, let's call those the facelift model. And these are, of course, the official AirPods Max 2, as now confirmed by Apple. And let's call them that going forward. No charger in the box, obviously. So far, nothing surprising. And then, of course, we have the main event, the actual headphones. Here they are. Let's unwrap them. And I don't really care what Apple device it is or which product. There is always something about unboxing, taking the wrapper off, rather, a fresh new Apple product. And we have these paper protectors. All right, here they are. And yeah, of course, they look exactly like the previous generation. If I put these side by side with the previous ones, in this case, it's actually the facelift USB-C model. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference aside from the color, of course. Same aluminum build, same mesh canopy up here, same, magnetic ear cups as expected. Same buttons, yes, same buttons. We have our crown and this button here. And still the same case. Come on, Apple. Why are you guys so damn stubborn? Everybody hates this stupid bikini case. This isn't even a case. They're just some random skin flaps pretending to protect the product, and they're doing a very poor job at even pretending. I had to get an actual case for it to make sure these were protected. This one was sent to me by Walnut, by the way, so I got lucky there. I didn't have to buy it. Shout out to Walnut. I do appreciate that. But anyway, we can conclude that on the outside, nothing really changed, and I'm okay with that. Aside from the case, fiasco, I actually really like the design. I think these are still one of the best looking, if not the best looking cans out there, and they do look and feel really premium. I think Apple really nailed it with that stuff. But all the real changes, those will be happening under the hood. So what actually makes these the true AirPods Max 2? Well, the biggest upgrade is of course the new H2 chip. Well, it's not a new chip, but it's new to the AirPods Max. The same one we've seen in the newer AirPods Pro. And that does unlock a bunch of features like adaptive audio, conversational awareness, personalized volume, better voice isolation, live translation, which is still in beta, but it's working somewhat, and improved spatial audio, of course, with head tracking. So this really is much more about software intelligence than hardware changes. And that's very Apple, especially the Apple of late. But before we dive into how all of that actually feels in real life, you may have noticed this rather unusual piece on my wrist. This is the Blue Planet Gen 2 by CIGA, and thank you very much to CIGA for sponsoring today's video. If you know me a little bit, you know I love my watches, and I definitely got bitten by that watch bug. So when CIGA offered me to review this incredibly interesting piece, I didn't have to think for 1 second, no pun intended. This watch is so different from any other watches in my collection. It won an absolute slew of awards, including the GPHG Award in 2021, which is considered, I think, the Oscars of the watch industry, and I can understand why. This is the Blue Planet Generation 2, as I said, titanium version, 46 millimeters, so it's a chonker, but it's a really good looking watch, and it's definitely a conversation starter. It has this beautiful open case back, and it features a recycled titanium case with a high gloss polishing, which is in line with the message Sega is trying to convey. Earth, our only blue sanctuary, has been made fragile by human actions. Inspired by the urgent need to protect our planet, Sega designed Blue Planet Collection was created to embody that message. So it urges everybody to listen to Earth's pulse and protect our shared home. But it's actually not its extraordinary looks that steal the show. I mean, it's really extraordinary to look at, of course, but it's the way you read the time on it. The design is meant to reimagine our perception of time, drawing inspiration from the interplay between day and night, as well as changing seasons. Inspired by ancient sundials, the watch features an exclusive asynchronous follow movement technology that replaces traditional gears to simulate Earth's self-rotation, and as a result, a single point displays both the hour and the minutes. Very cool stuff. And if you love watches, definitely check the link in the description to learn more about this one. Alright, back to the AirPods Max. Setting these up will be exactly what you expect. You open them up next to your iPhone and you'll see that they're trying to connect. Tap connect. And you're in. I'm gonna skip through that for now. I'm gonna set that up later. I don't wanna bore you guys with it. But you can see that there's all the features that we already knew from the AirPods Pro, things like conversational awareness, lowering your volume when you speak, adaptive audio, adjusting to your environment, and personalized spatial audio as well. And honestly, this is where Apple is still miles ahead. The integration across iPhone, iPad, and Mac, it just works. I know it sounds cliche, but it's true. You switch devices, it'll switch right with you. You take them off, it pauses automatically. It's just that ecosystem advantage, you know? And I know, ecosystem, there's another one of those buzzwords, but it just works, and there's nothing else I can say about that. It just works, and it's nice to see that they're finally arrived on the AirPods Max. I'm also gonna skip this. You can control your AirPods by moving your head, so you can say yes or no to an incoming email or a message. I love that feature personally. I know some people hate it, but I think it's really useful, especially when you're in the gym. You don't want to say yes or no out loud, you just do a little nod and it's gone. Not now, I'll do all of that later. Live translation is something I'm actually really dying to try out. Not now. Lossless audio with USB-C. We already knew that this was a thing with the facelift, and of course it's here as well. And we're done for now. All right, guys, I'm gonna use these for a couple of hours, get back to you with some initial thoughts. Obviously not a full review just yet, but enough to get a feel. The beauty of YouTube editing, it is like time travel, am I right? The good news is there really are some noticeable differences. Dare I say, improvements. The first thing I noticed is the bass. It's more pronounced, a bit deeper if you will, but at the same time, the overall sound feels a bit cleaner. I can't really explain it better than that for now, but it just sounds a bit crisper. Better separation between instruments, vocals are clear, mids are really defined. It's not a completely different sound signature, it still sounds like your AirPods Max, but everything just sounds a little bit more refined, you know? Active noise cancellation also feels slightly better, I think. I walked out of the studio for a bit, there's a pretty busy road outside, and it really does work great. I think it works a little bit better. Apple claims about 1.5 times improvement. I guess we'll take their word for it, but yeah, it does sound like these are better. But honestly, noise cancellation has always been pretty spectacular on these things, and it still is. But it's not the noise cancelling that impresses me most about Apple's AirPods, and that includes both AirPods Max and the AirPods Pros. It's the transparency mode. I don't know what voodoo magic Apple applies there, but nobody does it better, really. It really does sound like you're not wearing any headphones at all. On every other pair I tested, I always know, I feel that I'm listening through microphones. Even top of the line ones, even the Sony XM6s, they're great, but you can still kind of hear it and you're aware that you have something on your head. Apple's transparency mode really is a thing of magic. I don't know if it's better on the AirPods Max 2 than it was on the previous model, but who cares? It was already perfect as far as I'm concerned. So it's great to see that it still is. Now, enough glazing, because it's not all good news. Apple had a real opportunity, I feel, to fix a couple of things here that were problematic to most users. And they didn't. these are still quite heavy. After a couple of hours, you're gonna feel it. The canopy, while comfortable, it can lose its elasticity over time, especially if you like to hang your headphones or place them on a stand, which I specifically don't do with my AirPods Max because it will mess up the headband. These do not feel any different from the previous versions, so I really don't have a reason to believe that they won't stretch out like the previous ones did. And the ear cups, unless they improve things, in an invisible way, they will flatten out just like the previous version. So if you wear your AirPods Max all the time, like personally I wear them mostly for travel, sometimes for a bit of music and some editing here in the studio, but these really are my travel pairs. So mine are okay over time, but I know a lot of people that like to wear these things every day, all day, and over time you just end up with very flat cushions. Of course you can replace these, which is a good thing, but on a pair of cans in this price range, I don't think we should have to. And I think I've already said my piece about the bikini case. Let's look at it one more time. I mean, come on. So let's leave it at that. I really wish they had done something there, because for a product at this price, this still feels like a compromise. The software features are nice, and it's cool that these are now up to par with the latest AirPods Pros, but hardware-wise, I think they chose the easy way. So the big question is, who are these actually for? If you already have the AirPods Max with USB-C, so the facelift model, honestly, you could sit this one out and be totally fine. Unless, of course, you really hate that your AirPods Max are missing some of the features you get on your AirPods Pro, and you're willing to shell out the big bucks for it. But other than that, the changes just aren't big enough. If you have the older Lightning version, then yeah, this starts to make more sense. You're getting the USB-C, better sound, new features, future software updates. But even then, this is a very specific product. This is for someone who's deep into the Apple ecosystem, someone who values the seamless switching, the spatial audio, integration over customization, if you will, because there's a trade-off. You don't really get proper EQ, at least not yet. And personally, I've stopped hoping. You still don't get that level of control you'd get from something like the Sony, where you can set everything exactly how you like it. So while they do sound very good, these are less for the audio enthusiast and more for the Apple lifestyle user, I'd say, who wants that premium headphone that just works all the time. So the AirPods Max 2, they're not a revolution, they're more like a refinement, better sound, better features, same design. And whether they make sense for you really comes down to one thing: where you are in the Apple ecosystem. If you're already in, these are easy to love. If you're not, there are some really strong alternatives out there that might suit you better. And I would definitely encourage you to watch some of the comparison videos I've done here on the channel. Maybe even subscribe, because as my friend Iskren likes to say, why not? Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one.